was at the dinner the other day, and me and my wife were having a debate on whether or not the wedge salad was an actual salad. Of course it's a salad, I said. She said it was a lazy salad. It's like the chef just stopped. It's more of a vehicle for blue cheese dressing and bacon and tomatoes. And, iceberg doesn't really...
Hey everybody! Welcome back to Bay Area Mukbang. I am with Oscar Michel. Michel. Yeah, we went over that earlier. From Tacos Oscar. And we got food from Lucky House Thai in Berkeley. It's a very, very cute spot. This is awesome. The lady was definitely stoked and scared when we made it that big of an order. And it seems pretty good. But maybe you can go into who are you and what do you do?
I am Oscar Michel, as we mentioned a second ago, and I have a taqueria in Oakland called Tacos Oscar, Tacos Oscar, depending on who I'm talking to. Make tacos. Been doing it for 5 years now, 5+ as a brick and mortar, and had a pop-up that started in 2014. So it's been 10 years now doing this.
Yeah.
That's
huge.
And we're still doing it.
Yeah, especially this day and age, to say that you've had a brick and mortar business for 5 years, there's a lot of implications when people hear that. And the things that you had to go over, something that we discussed earlier, is just you started a business and then you had to start a business immediately again, after COVID. You had to hold on through that, and you had to keep on going. And, it's spring break around here right now, and there wasn't many people in Lucky House Thai, but those small, really good, affordable spots that you can always depend on and go to. It pains me to see when those close.
Yeah.
So I was I'm really happy that most of the places that we've gone to on this series so far have been small, very small businesses that people just pass by, especially a lot of people who consider themselves they have a soigné palate. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm not going to go to Lucky House Thai because there's this other place over here that's way better. It's dude, it's good. Just go eat it. Like I told you, when I was going to school on 6th Street in the city, I went to Toulon every single day. And that was before they had to remodel.
Yeah.
And it's I didn't care. It's awesome. And it's small. But maybe you could tell us why you picked that spot in particular.
Lucky House, I discovered, I don't know who showed it to me, but I worked at Urban Ore in Berkeley for a long time. And, I was an office troll there forever. And, when I started working at Urban Ore, I walked around a lot. I worked on the floor, sales, and you kind of got your steps in. And, but once you join the office team, you're sitting in a chair all day in an office and in front of a computer. So lunch breaks, you kind of want to get out of there and venture a little bit far. And we're probably breaking the rules. My friend Hondo and I, we used to go there all the time. We were the office guys.
Yeah, you don't work there anymore. You could tell we're doing a tell.
Oh no, I still love that place. But
the place is great.
Yeah, so we would venture out and we'd go to Lucky House a couple times a week, and also Touch of Soul in Emeryville was our other spot on San Pablo. So we had our spots that we hit, and it was affordable, and it always hit, and got to the point where we'd show up there. They wouldn't even give us menus. We'd just sit down because they knew what we were going to order. And that kind of spot, always crowded during lunch with students, and you could see, professors, and it's right next to the campus.
It's for everybody.
Yeah. So it was affordable, obviously, and the food was good and pretty quick in and out. I stopped working there at Urban Ore and started doing the restaurant thing, and I just kind of started going there less and less. And in the midst of the, pandemic, which, some say it's still happening, COVID's still out there, it's still dangerous and
still messing stuff up.
Yeah.
That's me trying not to swear.
I went in one day just kind of like, I wonder how that place is doing. Like I kind of forgot about it, and I called. I saw that it was still open online. I called. Woman answered, yeah, we're open. So I went over there and ordered my usual noodle soup and a lop, and I was the only person in there, and things were weird. There was nobody anywhere. There was parking right out front, and I went in and I was shocked that they were still operating, but very happy to support. And I got my stuff. She was the only person in there. She took my order, went back in the kitchen, cooked it, and came back out, rang me up. I tipped her really well, which, she started crying, and it was a really heavy thing because at that point my restaurant was closed. We weren't even open because, it was a shipping container, tiny. Nobody wanted to be standing next to each other. So,
well, my shop was closed for 9 months that year.
Yeah, we were closed for 3 months.
Yeah.
And Lion Dance Cafe was actually operating out of our container when we were closed because they needed a spot and we wanted to have a presence there.
Yeah, so, totally.
Great place. But
tasty food.
Yes. That's how
chili cook-off champions.
Now we're great friends. But it was just, to this day, I'm super happy that they're still open. It looks like they're doing a lot less business, like most places. They're still there, and today was empty probably because of spring break. But they're still making food, and it's more of a nostalgia thing. My friend, like I said, my good friend Hondo, who lives in San Diego now. We used to go there every week, and I don't know. I'm a creature of habit.
Yeah,
I have my places that I just continually support, even though there's so many new restaurants opening all the time. I don't know.
Well, after this is a tofu lob, which is great. And if you are a vegetarian or vegan, you can ask them without the fish sauce. It's really good.
Yeah,
it's like highly seasoned.
Yeah,
it also actually showcases like the lob seasoning a little bit more than the chicken because you don't have any. Like the tofu is so neutral. It's fucking awesome. It's really good.
I only had it one time, and I thought it was amazing.
Yeah.
And I definitely recommend it to my veggie friends. So.
Yeah, totally. You were saying you came from a pop-up background, and like you just started making tacos on the street, right? And so how do you think that's built the community around your spot differently than somebody who says like, oh, I'm pulling out of this restaurant and I'm going to this other one? And I'm like, because your spot is it's such like a focal point in Oakland for like movements or just like everybody loves your spot. Musicians.
Hopefully everybody.
Hopefully everybody. I mean, you can't please everybody. But it seems like that, like your community, and when I'm at your restaurant, it seems like it's so much more cemented than just like, oh, I just opened up this hot new spot and I have a name from another restaurant. Because you have just your friends are showing up all the time. I run into somebody I know there every single time that doesn't work there, even though I know. Which is like, it's early too, but shout out Ray again. Ray's the man.
Ray Stefani.
Ray is the man. But it's a social center as well.
Yeah. I mean, I played music for many years and toured all over the country, overseas. And, when you're in a band, you have to have a flyer to announce that, there's going to be a show this weekend. Here's the details on a piece of paper. Put in your pocket, whatever, hang it up on your fridge. But don't forget to come to the show. So when we started doing pop-ups, I treated it as like a show because that's what I knew. I didn't come from the restaurant world. I just kind of was like, I know how to make a tortilla. Yeah. I know how to make salsas and different things, beans that I learned from my family growing up, and calling my mom and be like, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? And she would just pass the knowledge on. And I was learning how to cook by myself in my house. And the first, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but the first event I ever did was for a friend who I worked with at Urban Ore, but not only that, we knew each other from the music world. And he was having a grand opening. Santos Studios in West Oakland.
Mhm.
Been around for a while now. And a bunch of people I know work there now as engineers, and it's super cool that they're still around. And
It was really neat studio.
Yeah,
From what I can see, I've never been there, but
it's
a
beautiful.
lot of good
But
music comes out of there.
my first ever event was there because my buddy Christopher, who opened it, we worked at a room together, and I was always talking about how I wanted to quit working in an office and be my own boss, and
Mhm.
I want to just make tacos on the street with hand pressed tortillas because nobody's doing that.
Yeah.
And at the time they weren't, and I'm sure restaurants here and there were, but just taqueros. It was just a tortilla that was
You buy them.
being heated up. And
Yeah.
good ones, La Finca, which we still use to this day. But,
It's amazing. That's just such a good resource.
Yeah, no, they're great.
Dude, I think it's amazing.
Been working with them for close to 20 years at a restaurant I used to work at back in the day. I used La Finca masa, so I was very familiar with their product. But
They're one of the reasons I don't buy masa.
yeah,
It was like I was
tortillas.
trying to like perfect my masa. I was like, we're gonna do it. I grew up making tamales with my family at my aunt's house. But then when I found La Finca, I was all like, I don't need to do it. You know what I mean? I was just like, I'm just gonna go buy it and support this business and like
they work hard, so
move
you don't
on.
have to.
Yeah, exactly.
So to get out of this murky answer, I treated each event going forward, each event meaning our pop-ups as like a show. And we had our good friend Jesse Lortz, who still does art to this day for us.
Yeah.
He goes by Dracula's Flute on Instagram. He would make flyers for each of our events, super weird looking. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Things with recurring themes like fried eggs with legs walking around, or like, Garfield looking things who weren't Garfield. We ended up calling him El Taco Gato, but thank you.
Dude, I have that shirt. It's great.
Yeah,
It's
so
the best.
I
Should
guess
definitely
getting
get
back
that
to the
fried chicken.
community thing, we would playing music for many years in the Bay Area and outside. I kind of amassed a pretty big friend group, and I started cashing in on that social capital
Yeah.
via the food world and being like, hey, like, I make tacos now. You should come out, and here's a flyer, and like check us out. And we're gonna be popping up in front of what used to be Sabrosa Coffee on 40th Street, across the street from where we are now. That was my first event that actually sold food for money.
Oh.
No permits. I thought I was gonna get arrested. I thought the health department was gonna show up and beat me up, and but nothing happened.
You're good.
Ton of friends came out. I made food in my kitchen in the house I still live in, and I sold it safely. Nobody got sick, and
Hey.
I was like, holy shit, this is a business. I'm working, making something that people eat and enjoyed it, and guess what? They came back the following weekend, and so pretty soon
catch
there,
a fire from there for sure.
yeah, I was making more money fucking selling, farting
Farting money.
tacos on the street than at my day job, and
Farting
eventually
around
that
on the
led me
street.
to quit. But back to the community thing, I just tapped into like my friend group and like tell your friends. I had a annoying email list at some point that I stopped using years ago, but I was just spamming everyone with like, guess what, I'm going to be at like Flowerland in Albany. It's a nursery, come out, there's a coffee truck,
This is
and
cool.
come buy plants and tacos. And we kind of just made it like an event. And at the time there were pop-ups here and there, but not as many as there are now. And I think it was just less competition, and even to this day, I think the more pop-ups, the better. It's healthy competition, I think. And as long as people are respectful of each other and
not talking stuff.
But I think that whole organic way of building up the business and what we did kind of carried over to the restaurant that we have now.
Yeah.
Like, we try and have events here and there.
Yeah. I really respect and really like all the stuff that you put in front of like the opportunities you give people, but also everything that I've had from in front of Tacos Oscar while I was getting Tacos Oscar has been bomb.
Yeah.
And I started seeing them other places, and you see them grow, and it's really, really cool because it only takes one person to do that. just to like push somebody like, oh yeah, you got something? Just throw it in front. Who cares?
Yeah, I love to host pop-ups because if people had never hosted us, we wouldn't be where we are now.
Yeah.
We rarely ever got charged money to like, you guys got to pay this much to be here. You got to pay to play.
Yeah.
So to this day, I don't charge anyone to pop up at our restaurant. We sell alcohol, not very much of it.
Yeah.
But it's more a way to give back, you know, to people, and also the neighborhood we're in, our community. Like, they love when we have a pop up because it's not the same old shit that we're serving every day. It's something new. Try it out, and it's cool to see people work with the space that we have. Also, because we have our menu, we have our stuff dialed in for the most part. We kind of don't stray from that because it's what works for our kitchen.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see other people with different concepts go in there and churn out a different kind of food with the same equipment we're using. And sometimes it works great. And sometimes they go down hard and are in the weeds the whole time and they're having a miserable time. Yeah. But people still are hanging out and getting food. And back in the day when I was playing music, I played in so many weird places like libraries, old abandoned high school gyms, tons of basements. It's a bunch of alternative venues. And I always told myself, like, if I ever have my own business of any sort, whether it's a bookstore or a record store, like, I want to be able to host things that aren't another bookstore or another record store. So we not only host, other pop-ups or restaurant concepts, but we have different fundraisers, and we've shown movies back there before, and it's kind of, the pandemic kind of screwed all that up. There was a crazy momentum we had going, then we had to shut down, and we're still kind of rebuilding back from what it once was. We were a takeout restaurant for longer than we were like a restaurant. We were open for a year in the pandemic. For 2 years after that, we were just doing takeout, and it was wild to have people back in when we could again safely. And I feel like we're still trying to get back to that.
What's hard to kickstart that? This is another thing that we were talking about earlier, is like having to start the business again and bring those people back in. But it's really hard because it's much more emotionally taxing now to be running a business. And it's hard to add those extra things on top of it, like getting prepared for an event. Like having a movie night is in and of itself, as far as events go, it's pretty simple. Like you got a projector, you put that on, you go as business as usual, and it's really fun. But just like even pulling up the wherewithal within yourself to advertise that and add that other thing to your list is it's so much harder now. Yeah. It's so much harder now.
Yeah, it's taxing, man, to run a place. You got to make sure that, you're doing it well so that the people that work for you have job security. And, also I just like to be there, and, constantly being told by my staff, like, go home, like, we got this. And it's like, not that I don't trust them. Like, I just don't know what else I'd be doing. Yeah, right. And I like to be there because I run into friends, like you said. It's like, I love going in there on a day where I wasn't there all day and coming back for something else and just walking in and being like, look at that. So many friends that I've made through the place that are continually supporting the place. And I'm definitely like, it's not lost on me how special it is. And,
I think that's one of the hardest things about pulling away from your business a little bit to make it bigger or concentrate on what's going on, is like you don't get to interact with the people that you love that show up randomly a lot. Like I'll run into people and they'll be like, oh, I haven't seen you in like 6 months, but they've been at the spot like a ton. That papaya salad is hot.
I was going to ask, what got you?
It's hella good.
You asked for it, very spicy.
We went Lao spicy, which is a good way to do it. So you were saying earlier, you would call your mom for recipes and whatnot. That's something that I did with my grandma constantly when I first moved.
Do it.
Yeah, totally. It was like, how'd you cook that thing? Or like, what temperature was it? And one day my grandmother came up with me with the Better Home and Gardens cookbook. That thing rocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet.
Just as like a chart.
It's all a lot of those at Urban Arm.
Yeah. Dude, it was amazing because they come out with I think it's something that they come out with a new edition every single year. But just for like braising meat or like knowing the temperatures in which things need to get to so you can like push the limits past it. It was such a good resource. But that takes me to asking, like, you're from LA.
Yeah.
Right. And so
at this point, I've lived in Oakland longer than LA.
Totally.
Born and raised there.
It's a very common thing that happens here in Oakland.
Yeah.
But like, how did growing up in Whittier shape how you like approach your business now?
Honestly, Whittier, I didn't get out much. I just hung out in my friends' garages and we would like, play music and smoke weed and listen to music. And we would go to like Jack in the Box or Yoshinoya, which they don't have up here. I love
Yoshinoya Bowl.
Yeah. And, we eat junk food. We were kids. We were just messing around and learning how to drink. And so I lived a pretty isolated existence growing up in Whittier. And like I mentioned earlier, I when I came up here at 17 to go to Cal, it was such a crazy, eye-opening experience, almost to the point where
thank you.
I kind of lost my mind with homesickness. And it was a shock to come up here. And
especially that area. It's so densely packed. And there's so much shit going on.
Yeah, I kind of pushed it back in my mind how weird and dark that time was for me because I was just super sad. I left when I was 17. And, I was just around my family 24/7 and my friend group. And next thing you know, I was in a whole other city and college and like just around so many people and new people. And I lost my mind for a minute in the dorms. And there was a couple weeks there where like I wouldn't leave my bed because I was like, I didn't know how to. It didn't like the first few weeks were fun because you're like partying in the dorms, you're meeting kids, and everyone's kind of like. But then you have to get serious and start going to classes and study. And somewhere along the lines, I just was like, I want to go home. This is weird. Like I don't,
I think every September or like August, September, you see there's like some kid that's just looking super bummed with a giant backpack on who looks like a child. Yeah. Just kind of like wandering around Berkeley, just kind of like,
that was me.
I don't know where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a common thing because Berkeley seems like kind of like a textbook, like movie college. Like you show up when there's some people that have been there like a week longer than you. And it's like, let me show you around.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to come up here so bad. I was a weird nerd. I listened to like metal and punk and pop punk, and I was a Lookout Records geek in high school, and Berkeley, Gilman Street, and all that was kind of like a mecca to me. But it's one thing to kind of fantasize about it, listening to your favorite band in your headphones, and then being in that world all of a sudden was just like very jarring. And but that's the first time I remember when I was in the dorms, like feeling really sad. I called my mom and I was like, we ate rice and beans every day just because there were a lot of kids to feed, and that's what we ate as Mexicans. And
did you make tortillas at home too?
No, I mean my mom was raising too many kids. She would buy a pack and heat them up, and and that was fine. And to this day I love them just because it's what I grew up with. But,
totally.
If I can press my own, I'll do it because the texture's better for me. But
we got La Finca.
We got La Finca, and also
shout out La Finca.
Bolita Masa, our friend Manny, who actually helped us open the restaurant. He was our first manager. he's now running a beautiful business where he uses,
his tortillas are amazing.
Yeah, heirloom
really
corn
good.
and
Everything that he does is really good. I had it was like a shrimp salad I had at the Berkeley Wine Block those Fridays. I ate bolita masa, I ate provecho.
Yeah, if you want to eat good food, the first Fridays on the
Berkeley Wine Block.
Oh God, there's so many amazing pop-ups.
Yeah. Hammerling Wines has a really good vermouth too.
Yeah, but La Finca still making great masa, and we got new people.
Also, chulo,
that we're using as flour tortillas for our brunch that we're doing now. But
I bring them camping.
Yeah.
I got a couple of frozen packs. Throw them in the bottom of the cooler. It adds to the ice, but the tacos in the woods with the chulo tortillas. One time, because I had to start buying 2 packs because one time Dax, my son, ate the whole pack of chulo tortillas. He just kept on like throwing them in the pan, like eating them.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Especially if there's some butter on the end.
There was butter. There was so much butter on them. Yeah. Shout out all those things.
Yeah. There's a lot. We're lucky. There's a lot of great businesses that have been doing it for a minute now and kind of diversifying what we can get in our homes when it comes to tortillas and masa and specifically. But to go back to the whole thing is like, I remember calling my mom from the dorm telephone and like begging her for the family bean recipe that,
there it is.
To this day, the beans that we serve at the restaurant,
It's a family recipe?
Yeah.
Look at that big ass spoon right there.
Oh, yeah.
Let me get some of that stew.
Get in there. Sorry, I'm nervously not eating.
No, we're talking. It's fine.
But man. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling here, but
No, you're good.
It's been a minute since I've looked back and talked about how this all has gotten to this point. So
because you stopped doing interviews, which is great. I don't sometimes like with my shop for a while, like when we started, I was like, wait, why didn't anybody want to like come talk? And then I realized that the couple interviews that I did do were just more about neighborhood stuff around the barbershop. And they would like use the worst part of it. And I was like, hey, you know what? It's okay. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But also, I'm going to ask a couple direct questions. What's your go-to snack?
My go-to snack?
Yeah.
Damn. When they're lying around and somebody buys them, I really like Aussie bites. I don't know where the hell those came from.
Those are so
Australia,
good.
I'm assuming. But
yeah, dude.
Those are good.
You're probably from like Salt Lake or something.
Yeah, not Australia. Honestly, if I have chips at my house and a lime and a random bottle of hot sauce, just put a bunch of chips in a bowl, squeeze a lime, some salt, and some whatever, tapatio, green Tabasco, some chulo hot sauce or bolita. Whether I'm sober, drunk, stoned, just crunchy tortilla chips with a little bit of lime, salt, and hot sauce. That's I like my jam. Yeah,
I know potato chips.
Yeah, you can do it with potato chips.
Yeah, like the really, really thin and the very, very, very clear plastic bag that's puffed all the way up.
Oh yeah,
that you get at the random taqueria that has like a couple things that they sell that their friends make in the little town that you're driving through in California. Those are the jam.
Yeah,
it's like they're so paper thin, they're so well made, and there's like enough oil on the bottom of the bag and salt, and you can see it. That's with a little bit of hot sauce and lime.
Yeah. Also a tortilla with butter, salt.
Oh yeah,
that's a good snack if I have them on hand. But
this might be so flour tortilla. When we were growing up, we'd always have flour tortillas on hand, like Mission flour tortillas, and put them directly on the electric burner, so it gets the nice like coil. And then you take it off, and then you spread peanut butter on it. That was like, I still do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if my son comes up to me and is like, I'm hungry, because he's 9, and I'm trying to teach him to be more self-sufficient. I'm like, go make yourself a peanut butter tortilla. Like, go for it. You know how to do it. Mm-hmm. You're not going to burn the house down as long as you just stay there. And the peanut butter tortilla is a great staple. And very specifically, like my house. I only know a couple other people that did the peanut butter tortilla.
We never did peanut butter, but definitely always butter. Mm-hmm. Occasionally, if there was bologna lying around, fry that up, roll it, tortilla.
We do a Costco hot dog, American cheese, and a flour tortilla.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Tortilla con weenie. I really enjoy the produce every time I'm at your spot. It seems like it's very, very thoughtfully picked out. Like, as I like going to a store, and I don't like ordering groceries online because I want to experience the produce before I grab it and like cook it.
Yeah.
And we've talked about smaller local farms on here a few times. What are some of the farms that you guys like buy from?
Honestly,
and support.
I wish I had more time as like a restaurant owner to like go to the farmers market.
Yeah.
And like walk around and schmooze with people and like run into people, which I've done a few times, but we usually order through our produce company, but they also carry a lot of the farms. This farm that we discovered, years ago when it's tomato season, sea level farms. They're dry farmed early girl tomatoes, I think, are the best.
Those are incredible.
They're insanely good. Their strawberries are also amazing. But
I like their symbol. I like their like the guy that's like surfing.
Yeah.
He's like surfing and selling you
just a cool
bomb ass strawberries.
Hand drawn label, but there's so many farms, River Dog, Early Girl, Dirty Girl, or we try and buy local and organic as much as possible, and we definitely work with the seasons, save for a few things like tomatoes this
you need tomatoes.
Damn broccoli taco that we sell. We just if we take it off the menu, people lose their minds.
The broccoli taco is so good.
And that was a total mistake. One day I was having a barbecue at my house, and
I want some of that.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
You gotta try it. It's gonna spice you out.
Please spice me out. I was drunk at my house barbecuing, and I put a piece of broccoli on the grill and kind of forgot about it. Walked away. Came back, realized, oh shit, I burnt this thing. It was charred on one side. The other side, it never got flipped. And so it was like a slice of broccoli.
Oh, yeah.
Cross section. And earlier that day, I was playing around with like a peanut salsa situation. I had peanuts in the house and, toasted them and ground them up with some chile de árbol and some like whatever spices. I think I had star anise and some other things on hand. And I ground it all up together with some really nice olive oil. I was like, it's peanut salsa. It was nice and spicy. Somehow that made it onto the broccoli. And for some reason, the combination was something that I had never really tasted before. And it worked really well. And, I remembered that. And the next week we had a pop-up somewhere, and I brought it up to my business partner, and he kind of laughed like, you want a broccoli taco with peanut salsa? And I was like, I don't know, man. I just thought it tasted pretty interesting. I think it would go well on a tortilla. And we put it on the menu, just kind of jokingly, see how this goes. And that was like the biggest selling item that night over like carnitas and whatever mole, other tacos that we had. It was a pretty small menu, but I think people were kind of just like, what the hell is this? You gotta try it. And it sold really well. And people were coming back and buying more, and kind of just started from there. And
dude, the peanut salsa, when you have a good, like that, like the peanut salsas, they hit you in a way that you're just like, I want to keep on eating this so bad. Winner of the chili cook-off 3 years in a row, Ray Tamayo.
Yeah, Ray.
Really good. Yeah, Ray. Ray is awesome. He won with a pork shoulder in a salsa de cacahuate.
Oh, nice.
And it's just addicting. You know what I mean? It's just so good. Oh, yeah.
Not spicy.
It's hitting you.
But yeah, like I said, we like to work with seasonal produce because it just tastes better.
Yeah.
And we kind of just trust that the company that we order our produce from works with as many local farms as possible, and they do. And so we kind of rely on them. But at some point, when I'm working less, hopefully that happens one of these days. I'm still working 24/7, but
you gotta do it.
You know, a lot of other restaurants and friends, they do the thing where they go to the farmer's market with a cart and they fill it up with produce, and like I get so jealous like that. I'm not don't have the time, and I can make the time, I'm sure, but we're also just kind of set in our ways as a business where like you don't want to like, you know, throw anything off rhythm, otherwise it's gonna screw things up. So
yeah, totally. But like, I don't know, we romanticize, I mean, people who are into food anyways, like we romanticize I'm going down to the market and I'm squeezing the tomato and I'm smelling the pepper like the dude from Iron Chef. Yeah. You know, but like your friends that do that, probably like there's got to be at least like 40% of the time when they're doing it begrudgingly, they're just like, I got to go down to Berkeley Farmers Market and do this again.
It's another task, you know?
Yeah. As a business owner.
Quick, like get your stuff.
Yeah.
Get there early before somebody else gets to it.
Yeah, totally.
But then you have to rush it back to the restaurant and start processing it.
Yeah. But I really wanted to thank you too for taking the time to do this. This is great because I know how busy you are. We've tried to connect a few times.
A long time in the making.
Yeah, dude. And it's just really nice to sit down and have a meal with you.
I had to request a day off, which normally Mondays are chill these days, but yeah.
Dude.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, no worries.
And also to get back to your thing, before the pandemic, we actually were kind of working with friends who were growing stuff. And they also kind of lost their thing to the pandemic. But our friend Sydney was growing stuff up in Winters, California.
Oh yeah,
off-beat farms, and she would bring us amazing peppers, and we had an okra taco that we were doing for a while. Had our friend Ray, a different Ray. There's so many Rays.
A lot of Rays.
Yeah,
that's 3 Rays.
Ray Seraphin.
Hey.
We were doing like a charred okra taco, but our friend Sydney was growing these beautiful like purple okras that were just insane looking. And she would come every week and bring us samples of stuff. And it was just, that's when I felt like this is so cool and exciting. Like people are growing stuff and you're directly working with them, which is the way it should be, you know?
Yeah, totally.
And you trust their process. And so I want to get back to more of that as well, but you know, hopefully with time. But
you're doing your time again. We all have to. Who's the first person that you remember cooking for you? Like handing you a piece of food? It sounds like you grew up in a pretty big family, so there's probably a lot of people doing a lot of different stuff.
It was obviously probably my mom, but I do remember my grandma cooking a lot. Having her food. She would refry beans with a lot of lard. I remember seeing her doing this and being fascinated by them.
Yeah.
The whole process.
That would probably be like the first smell right there.
Yeah.
And like the sound, like when you first pour the beans in.
Just like as a child, seeing this like white blob on a spoon hit a pan and then disappear and turn into a cleared liquid. Such a weird, like, whoa, what kind of magic is this, you know?
Yeah, dude.
I didn't know how fats worked then, but you know, and she would put a bunch of, you know, whole beans and start smashing it and refrying them.
Yeah.
That was just like the base to every meal. But I remember my grandma's, she was always in the kitchen. And also she not only cooked for us as a family, but she had canaries.
Oh, whoa.
And she would sit down and chop up hard-boiled eggs and sprinkle them with like candies, little sprinkle candies you see on a donut.
Yeah.
And like seeds, and she loved these birds so much. She would make them food instead of just dumping a bunch of seeds into a bottle. She would put just as much love and care into feeding her canaries as she did to feeding us. It was something that I forget a lot, and I think back and remember like my grandma with a tiny little knife chopping a hard-boiled egg, and then me wanting to eat it. Like she's putting candy on the eggs. Why can't I have that? But it was for the birds that I don't know how long they live, but she had some canaries, and they had a huge like aviary, I guess you'd call it, right? Out back too, with other birds, and like
a big like wooden
like
structure.
Huge, yeah. And so, but you know, it always, when I remember that, it's, you know, kind of brings a tear to my eye, because I loved her so much, and my grandfather, he was the one who kind of taught me about like nopales, cactus. He would go out there and bare hand the paddle, slice it off, and just, you know, take off the espinas, the spines, and you know, if I try to do that, start yelping and be a baby about it.
His hands were probably like leather.
Oh yeah, he was a janitor, and my uncle too. So I'm sure, you know, working with so many chemicals and stuff. His skin was.
I remember my grandfather's hands; they were so big. Like he was a big guy for sure. Like my whole family's pretty big, but his hand, like my hand, is not even close to what his hands were, because it was like knuckles from like working with his hands. He eventually became like a salesman, but just from like sports and like being the oldest of 10 kids, a lot of them are brothers. I love O'Keefe's.
That's good stuff.
Working hands.
Yeah, working hands.
But like from like fighting and shit, like in San Francisco back in the day too, just his knuckles were like cherry peppers.
Jesus.
It was nuts, man. His hands were so big. Oh man.
But yeah.
That's why I made ossobuco on Saturday, because I was thinking about my grandfather.
It was so good. He gave me a quart of it. The lemon saffron risotto.
We talk about like alchemy and like the fat melting, like making a risotto without thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like that, like kind of, I don't know. That's the knowledge that you have to take in from your elders. Like if you really pay attention to it, you know?
Yeah.
Just like how they put things together, and it's like, ask the older people in your life how they did that. Like call your mom over and over again and do that. And like, your beans are good. Thanks. They are so good. That bean taco. Yeah. The thing is amazing.
Oh, not that many ingredients, you know, you season it well, and, you know, a lot of onions.
Yeah. But are they exactly like your mom's? Or is like when you have like your mom's, it's just like,
My mom keeps them a little bit simpler, but hers are always way better. I don't know. She's just,
that's what I'm saying,
more patient. She'll put the beans on the stove and just take off for the day and go run errands, and like kind of a sketchy move. I remember back in the day getting phone calls like, turn off the beans. Like she'd remember that she had them on the stove for too long. We never had any accidents or fires or anything, but I think just like letting them go and forgetting about them and letting them cook at their time makes them perfect. For us, you know, we have time limits, and we have to get them on and get them off. And, you know, obviously we cook them so they're done and tender, but they're not as tender as, you know, mom's beans, you know?
Yeah, totally. I've been venturing into baking. And like I was up late at night, and my grandma watches the show. So I was like, I'm not going to say how inebriated I was, but I was on Facebook Marketplace, and I bought a sourdough starter.
Oh, is that you were
for $5? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to make some sourdough because everybody else used to do it. Yeah. Why not? And I got it. And so it's like the patience with baking. I was talking about this with Josie. Yeah. You know that dude too. It's just like when I started weighing stuff, it really changed the game, but just like the patience that you have to have for that is nuts. Like the calculated patience that it takes to bake.
It terrifies me.
A loaf of bread. And you don't even know that it's going to be good until like tomorrow. Yep. I guess that's why I like smoking meat too. Like I make a really mean brisket, like a smoke a brisket. one of my customers gave me a login to Masterclass. Oliver Slate Green, if you're watching, I love you very much. He's one of the best people. I love him. But they gave me a login to Masterclass. So I did the Aaron Franklin Masterclass for a long time. That's really, I think that kind of brought me to baking because I could sit there for 12 hours with a brisket, just kind of like hanging out and tossing a chunk of wood in there every once in a while when it's like 3 a.m. in East Oakland. Yeah, totally. Or like making coffee the campfire way.
Yeah.
That's the jam. But that level of patience.
Yeah, I actually just bought a scale because I want to start baking.
It's the best.
I'm so used to cooking by
tossing stuff in.
I think that's the right amount of salt. F it. If it's too much, well, I'm an idiot, but I can always add more if it needs it.
Or you add more something else to mitigate
I'm the worst with like standardizing recipes at the restaurant. People are like, can't you just write it down for us so we can make it? It's like, I just kind of did this and this. And like, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So people get frustrated with me sometimes. It's like, we need to have a recipe. If you want to continue working here their whole life, sure. Carry on.
Yeah.
But if you want somebody else to make it so you can go take a day off, you got to figure this stuff out. So I bought a scale to get myself more in that habit, but also I want to start trying to learn how to bake. I'm recently living alone for the first time in many, many years. And I think I can kind of spread out in my house with baking projects and letting things ferment. And so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But
I brought bread for the first time yesterday in like a month and a half.
Wow.
I've been like cruising on those loaves of bread.
I want to start making focaccia. I love it.
I can teach you how to make focaccia.
It looks fun. Please.
Let's go.
I'll pay you.
It's all patience. When I realized it's like, just don't touch it.
Okay. That's
you know what I mean? Like you gotta,
yeah,
exactly. It's just like, when I started, I'd be like, I gotta mess with it a ton because, I think was it Marcella Hazan could smell how much salt was in her food.
Oh, wow.
Because she would just like throw shit in there. And that's how I cooked for a really long time. That's why it was hard to bake. But then when I realized it just like, I think it was just like, I made a dough and I forgot about it for like an hour. Like after I added the oil and put it in a bowl and let it proof, I forgot about it. And then I came back and it had risen perfectly. Yeah. I was like, whoa. Yeah. Then I put it in a pan and I stretched it. And then I forgot about something. I forgot about it again for like another 2 hours. And then I came back and it was like, it had this big, beautiful bubbles. And I didn't do anything. You just kind of coaxed the yeast to do what it's supposed to do with everything else and let it develop. And then I just stuck my fingers in it, threw it off and baked it off. And then it came out and I was like, I didn't do anything.
Perfect.
Yeah. Like it took, 6 hours probably because I kept on forgetting about it. But the active time was probably about like 15 minutes.
Wow. Yeah.
Especially if you're making like one. If you're working in a bakery, those people are running around all day.
Yeah.
But if you're just making some stuff for yourself,
let it do its thing. Yeah. I'm horrible with scales and weighing things, but I am good with a timer.
Yeah.
And setting reminders. My phone is mostly timers and reminders.
Yeah.
And
make a list every morning.
Yeah.
Make a list. What do I want to ask next? Oh, you want to go back to music? Like, how'd you become a musician?
To this day, I can't read music, and I just kind of learned by ear, listening to tapes and albums, and I don't know. I chose to be a bass player because probably because of Flea from the Chili Peppers when I was a kid, but also more importantly than him, Mike Watt of the Minutemen.
Yeah.
I remember getting a Minutemen tape for the first time, and it was just kind of, I was into the Chili Peppers and all that stuff, but it was like an even cooler version the Chili Peppers actually learned from. And I just chose that as my instrument. My dad bought me a bass after asking many, many times.
Yeah.
Which I still have to this day. It's an old
sick
beat up
Squire
P bass.
That was my first one too.
Jinx,
it came
Jinx.
It came from a like a package. It had like a little amp, and then it had the bass in the back. And I bring up music because they're like pretty much every single person that's been on here has like an insane connection to music, whether they played it or it's just like a huge part of their life or something like that. And there's this parallel between doing a creative trade, because we are in trades, like cutting hair and cooking food, and like being able to do what we do day in and day out. Because on paper, like our job sucks. Like I'm standing up all day,
I can think of better
running
things
around,
to do,
and shit like that. But
I can think of easier things to do. Probably not better, but
right. Oh man, but I think we're coming up on time, so this is the portion of the show where. Well, actually, I'm going to ask a new question. What was your favorite today?
You know,
I haven't
this
even tried wontons.
Oh yeah, get in there.
Yeah.
I haven't even really tried most of this stuff, but
rapid fire.
The larb is always my favorite. The beef stew was surprisingly. I thought it'd be stewier, but I like what they gave us. Maybe it's something different, but very tender and flavorful. I bet the tofu lap is really good. I haven't tried it yet.
It is really good.
The one time I had it, I was very impressed. And
I'm super impressed with the tofu lab. I've never had a tofu lab before. It's awesome. It's really good. Also, like, what do you want to plug? Like, what organizations that you work with? Things that you're doing. I know we talked about brunch. They're doing brunch at Tacos Oscar.
Yeah, we're doing brunch now. We've been for a while, and it's been kind of hit or miss, but I think it's mostly because of the weather lately. But I think, we're open on the weekends from 11 to 2, Saturday, Sunday. Currently doing breakfast tacos on chulo tortillas and burritos on El Molino tortillas. When you come eat at our restaurant, 1% of your bill goes to community kitchens to help feed our houseless neighbors here in Oakland. So that's constantly happening. We've done so many fundraisers, and we will continue to do so. Right now, it's kind of, we're in a rough patch with the weather and trying to pay ourselves, not even ourselves, our staff and the bills. So we're kind of trying to get back on our feet. But places we've worked with in the past are Calma, which I'm wearing their shirt randomly.
Sick.
They work with laborers, migrants, and asylum seekers, and we used to donate a lot of beer sales to them, and just to help people who are here hurting financially, especially during the pandemic. A lot of day laborers couldn't work because people didn't want strangers in their houses.
Yeah, totally.
Possibly having COVID. So it was cool to help out and help feed people in that. And we've worked with Black Organizing Project, Mecca for Peace. We were doing fundraisers back in the day. One of our staff and coworkers, Palestinian America, Zaina, beautiful friend. And so she turned us on to their organization, 3-4 years ago. And so I don't know. I know that, running a business, you're constantly, taking people's money and, trying to support yourself. But I always think there's an opportunity to give back. And, and organizing people who come to your restaurants, and not only, come buy your food, but buy a t-shirt. We're donating all the funds to this, whatever organization is at the time. And it's cool to be able to organize people that support you and kind of, divert some of that money to people who need it more.
Yeah, I think it's something that
very important.
Yeah, and it's a theme here on the show. When I talk to people, like it's part of owning a business in particular, like in Oakland in particular, is that you have to give back to it, because it's a really, really tough place to own a business. It's a tough place to run. People generally, like, if they come from the city, they think your thing should be cheaper because it's in Oakland. And it's just like, but you also, the community that you get from just like being a staple in your surrounding area is incredible. And the people that you meet, and like, another organization that's really great is Mandela Partners Group.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
Bunch.
We did some haircut things with them.
Yeah, we're actually going to take on one of their cohorts and bring them on and help with job training skills and teaching them how to do things in the kitchen. And it's a win-win for everyone.
Yeah. And I really appreciate your business, and I really believe that like it exemplifies what an Oakland business is, like more than a lot of people around here. It's just it's hyper genuine, and there's absolutely zero virtue signaling in it, and I appreciate that, because there's so many people that try to keep latch themselves onto that shit.
Yeah.
And
we know
we're the cool guy. Bleh.
Yeah,
but
it's a privilege to be able to take money and not put it in your bank account, and to be able to, we're lucky that we're so busy. And so I know not everyone can do that and afford to. Yeah. And, it must be, just to be able to survive as a business in Oakland or anywhere. But we if we have the extra funds, it's the right thing to do. So we try as much as we can. But thank you for, Yeah.
You're the man, Oscar. You are the man.
I try.
Yeah, totally. And go to Lucky House Thai in Berkeley. It's fantastic. I didn't have one thing that I didn't like. The pad thai is amazing. I tried that a little bit earlier. I was picking the entire time I was setting this thing up. Look into any of the organizations that we picked up. There was a lot this time. Go to Tacos Oscar for brunch, or go to Tacos Oscar for dinner. Come to the Dax Lee's Chili Cook-Off on June 8th at 7th West Bar if you want to have some amazing chili and support some good organizations like West Oakland Punks with Lunch and the Homeless Action Center. I think that's it. I think that's a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching Bay Area Mukbang. I really appreciate it. And please go out to your local bars, restaurants, and small businesses to spend your money in your neighborhood. Support the people that are around you, please. And if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Any suggestions for any future interviews that you'd like to see would be greatly appreciated, so put them in the comments. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.